Hi. Kandava, the city in the western part of Latvia, the administrative center of the Kandavski region. Abova is located between the North Courland and East Courland Heights, in 95 km from Rigi on the riverbank. Population 3763 persons. 2019. The name Kandava probably comes from Levski language. Kanda, the place about water or in a corner. That corresponds to a geographical location of Kandava in Abova's bend. The Kandavska Korsy lock, which was one of Venima centers and the city near a big Prussian path on the right coast of the valley of Abova, existed in the 10th-12th centuries. Kandava is for the first time mentioned in 1230 in the contract between governors of 9 districts of East Courland and the Tomsk capital of the Riga Church of St. Maria, the award of sword bearers, the Riga Rat. The last time the Kandavski Kersy lock is mentioned in the contract of the papal legate Balduinelski with Kersha of January 17, 1231. According to this contract, the Kersha undertook to obey Christianity and to fight against pagans. In exchange for it, the course kept the independence and the old rights. In 1245, the master of the Livonian award D. von Kruningen with army intruded in Courland and destroyed the state of Venima, which I entered Kandava. Then this area began to be called Peaceful Courland. For Decuronia. In 1366 and 1397 Kandava is mentioned as Oppidum, the strengthened settlement. In 1496 and 1499 it is already called Hakelwerk town. It says about her grove. In 1534 the tavern, in 1536 the smith is mentioned. 17 surnames of Foyt of the Kandavski lock from 1383 to 1560 are known. In 1560, after the Livonian award broke up, Kurland became the duchy. At the time of the Kurland duchy, 1561-1795. Kandavski Hauptmann, whose residence was in the Kandavski lock, operated the district of Kandava, Sabile and Talsi. The town endured blossoming in the 17th century, at government of the Duke Jacob when manufactories where weaved a linen cloth were created, cooked saltpeter and a powder mill. During Northern War Kandava it was strongly destroyed. In 1710 in the city epidemic of plague which victim almost all inhabitants fell burst. In the subsequent, the city had to be revived almost anew. Sites. In the small town and its vicinities there are a lot of interesting cultural and historical objects, and the site of the ancient valley of Abova between Kandava and Sabile not for nothing is called the Courland Switzerland. Abova's coast and Kandava are connected by stone bridge 66 m long, one of the oldest in Latvia. 1873. Kandava treats the cities with the biggest percent of stone constructions. Earlier the frequent fires against which inhabitants tried to secure themselves stone walls were the reason of it. The market square has an interesting sepulchral hill surrounded with walls and surrounded with trees. There are no cross and a gravestone there, but rains often wash away the numerous bones thrown in a disorder. Among remains different objects of old times such as bronze beads, jewelry from sinks, etc. Often find. In Kandava there is a sulfuric source. If to turn left from the central Lyle Street and to go along the Market Square and Mercalninch Hill. The Plague Hill. For the fire station where the dead in epidemic of plague of 1710 are buried, then you will get to the Kandavsky Lutheran Church constructed in 1736. The 32-meter bell tower is built in 1889. In church it is possible to examine an altar picture of work of K. Arnoldi, Christ on a Cross. 1855. Boat department and a confessionary bench of work of the woodcarver Mertens. The 1730th. And also 2 wooden sculptural groups of the 17th century, Villain and Golgotha. Orga. The N is constructed in 1864. In the east of the city there is a forest lake Teterino. Lyle Street brings into the ancient valley of Abava, on Abava Street. On her north side, approximately in 200 m towards the highway Riga Ventspils, the Kandavsky ancient settlement towers. On this place, Lasniskalns called by the ancient settlement of ancestors, the Devil's Bed, sometimes. There was a Kandavsky Kirchsee lock, one of the centers of the earth of Vanum. For the first time this palace is mentioned in the contract of 1230 in which Kirch promised to be christened. In the middle of the 13th century, the Livonian Award constructed the stone lock in Kandava. Historical sources agree in opinion the construction of the lock began the master of an award Eberhard von Sane around 1253, and came to an end with Berghard von Hornchausen at the end of the 1250th. The lock during that time was intended for the residence of the neighboring magistrate. During board of the Livonian Award 17 such judges were replaced here. Supervision over the districts of Kandava, Sabile and the Tulsi district, collecting taxes, fulfillment of court and other pleasures belonged to their duties. Surnames of judges can be found in the book Tulsi district. Riga, 1935-1937. Kandava was laid over special collecting honey as in the neighborhood of it there was a fair quantity of apiaries. Annually monks of the Kuldiga Convention should have handed over 3 berkovets, 491 k, of honey. After Northern War the lot came to critical condition. In 1840 it was authorized to demolish a part of walls of the lock. Many stones were used for construction of the bases of new houses. After 1898, when the territory of the ancient settlement was transferred to local government, broke the park there. Near the Powder Tower in 1935 the Unity Grove was put. Today ruins of the lock are in the beginning of Lyle Street. On her right side. It is difficult to judge how the lock then looked, only scraps of information on his arrangement, and from the available watercolor written in 1794 reached our days, look at us already only ruins. The most considerable work in this area belongs to a Feder of Karl von Levi's who published results of the researches among which there was also an estimated plan of arrangement of the lock in 1903. By results of excavation, the lock was constructed at top of the main coast of the ancient valley of the Abava River. There was a small ledge 140 meters long and 50 meters wide. At the edges of a ledge there passed the fortification with wall thickness 1.1–1.5 meters. In the center of a ledge there was main lock 34.2, 31.5 meters. Thickness of walls reached 1.8 2.0 meters. The lock was constructed of boulders, and apertures of windows and doors are laid out by a brick. In the lock there were probably several inhabited cases. In 25 meters to the east of the main lock there was a quadrangular tower of 11. 8 in size. 11.95 meters, remain so far. She carries a pro-rank powder. At the time of the Duke Yakov gunpowder was stored here. Thickness of her walls in the lower part 1.75, 1.9 meters, and in top minus 1.5, 1.6 meters. The tower has 2 floors, but is possible, was higher. Between a tower and the main lock there was an air bridge from which nothing remained. Industry. At the time of the Duke Jacob Kettler in Kandava ground gunpowder, weaved a flax and cooked saltpeter. Till 1963 in Kandava there was a production plant releasing barrels for fuel, garments, making the roasting of lime and a brick rendering household services. It was planned to allocate from in production of cause of agricultural purpose with accession of this shop to Elgavasilmash. It would give to the settlement of 30 jobs, however didn't solve a problem of unemployment. Therefore the director of production plant Peteris Dogavits asked for the help the chairman of the board of ministers of the SRA and Kosygin with the offer to place branch of some large enterprise in Kandava. Thus the decision on creation of the Kandavsky radio plant, the shop of knots of the Riga radio plant was made. On January 1, 1975 on the basis of the shop of Radiuzal the Kandavsky radio plant led by Yanis Yakubovits was founded. The enterprise already released the ready radio equipment, electrophones, transistor portable radio receivers. With growth of need for condensers of variable capacity, the Kandavsky plant developed their Massachusetts production in quantity to 2 million pieces a year, supplying all radio plants of the Soviet Union. Condensers were also made on the branches organized by the plant in Tulsi, Tukums and Jermala. In 1993 900 people worked at the plant. Forces of the enterprise built 2 production shops, recreation center, 5 apartment well-planned houses. On April 15, 1991 the plant was transformed to Kandava's Radiorupnica joint stock company. It worked till 1999 when the liquidation of the enterprise, which came to the end on March 10, 2003 was begun. Transport. For Kandava there passes regional Ligas Highway P, Kandava Vega. Regional Kandava Highway P, Soldus approaches Kandava. Among local highways it should be noted V Tukums, Kandava. The railway station Kandava is in 7 km on the northeast of the city, on Ventspils, Tukums Line 2. Famous natives. Carlos Melenbach, 1853-1916. Is the Latvian linguist, the teacher, the translator, one of founders of the Latvian linguistics. Oswald, 1862-1915. Is a psychologist, the founder of Wurzburg Psychological School. Mayor Valdis Adamsons, 1910-1946. A Guptermführer of the Latvian Voluntary Legion of CC. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.